So, John, are you done playing with your camera?
I guess, yeah. This thing on?
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Well, guys, we're back here for another live episode of the Car Guy and Six Fan Show. And it's going to be a little bit of a different show tonight because even though we are powered by the Get Out and Drive podcast, we have both of us here tonight from the Get Out and Drive podcast. I'm kind of doing double duty. I've got one hat on here, one hat on here. But nevertheless, my name is Jason. I'm the car guy of the Car Guy and Six Fan Show. And this fellow right over here.
I'm Grant Tommy. I am straight Six Fan on YouTube, or Six Fan of this operation we like to call the Car Guy and Six Fan Show. So happy Thursday, everybody. We've got a couple of you already lined up in the chat, ready to go. So everything's Broken Garage, Joanne Meyer, Melissa Nunez, of course, being moderator tonight, Uncle Squirrel, Joanne Meyer moderating as well, and probably behind the screen on the other side of the laptop there for John.
Making funny faces.
Paul Meyer, Turlo's Garage. Welcome in, everybody. and Paul as well. So with that, so welcome in, everybody, again. And we've mentioned it. We are powered by the Get Out and Drive podcast, and that is our guest tonight. So we'll just hand it on over to you, John. Why don't you give a quick, brief introduction of yourself, and welcome to the show.
I, for some reason, am on this show tonight. I still haven't figured out why, but I'm John.
We all make mistakes, John.
Well, I know. I forgive you. I get it. So I am co-host of the Get Out and Drive podcast. This little deal right here. John Custom Car Nerd Meyer.
And the reason why John goes by John Custom Car Nerd Meyer is because if you follow him on Instagram, that's how you're going to find him, under Custom Car Nerd, as well as when you're following myself, it's Old Car Guy, and Straight Six Fan is obviously Straight Six Fan, as you see on the screen. If you want to follow us over on other social medias. Thank you, Turlo's Garage, for the birthday wishes. That was yesterday. 47 never felt so good. And obviously, it looks better.
Wow. So,
yeah, on that note, we've also got Big Easy has popped into the chat, as well as a couple of guys. Ed Lakin, or Layson, maybe I'm saying that wrong. I don't know. Real World Garage, a bunch of guys are in there. Thanks for being a part of the show. We did talk about this being powered by the Get Out and Drive podcast. And maybe, John, you could help me with this little promo bump
sure.
with National Get Out and Drive Day. Tell us a little bit about what National Get Out and Drive Day is and why we do it.
National Get Out and Drive Day. Well, why are you laughing at me? Everyone here is laughing at me already. I don't even know why. They're just laughing at me. Anyway, National Get Out and Drive Day. I'm tired of having everybody with their cars just sitting around, and we decided to create a day that people could get out and drive and have fun. Yeah, I hate when I'm live, by the way. Anyway.
You're doing just fine.
We'll do fine. What do I do with my hands? But no, this year's National Get Out and Drive Day is going to be October 2nd, 2022. And make sure, there's more people popping in there. But why are you laughing at me? Anyway, but make sure you guys go to getoutanddrive.com, and you can check on a link and go to, we can go to getoutanddrive.com and go to the link and get your decal for National Get Out and Drive Day.
Well, and what I was going to ask, because I'm a little new to the whole operation of Get Out and Drive Day, Get Out and Drive podcast, which of the two came first? Did the podcast come first and Get Out and Drive Day come second, or is it in the reverse?
Well, Get Out and Drive podcast did come first, and we were all jammed up and crammed up for everything having to do with the pandemic, and we decided that we can't get out and drive, which sucked, and we can't go to car shows. They're canceling everything's stupid. And we decided that we can get out and drive. We can watch car movies. We can play with Hot Wheels. We can build car models. We can watch, shows. We can, talk to each other on social media. We can go out in the garage and build our own cars and huddle up and close the door and wait for the pandemic to be over and the whole bit. And we decided to have this to support the fact that you don't have to drive your vehicle physically to enjoy National Get Out and Drive Day. We always talk about supporting the next generation. And we always say, make sure you take a kid to the car show, make sure you're playing Hot Wheels with them, make sure you're teaching them about cars, make sure that they can figure out what's going on and actually be able to point out the difference between a 55, 56, 57 Chevy. And that's kind of what my parents and my friends and everybody I looked up to, that's what they did for me. So I want to do that for someone else.
Well, and sometimes, John, when we're sitting here and we're talking about whatever the topic of discussion happens to be, usually it's you and I are interviewing somebody. But very rarely do we get to talk about each other's stories. And I'm not sure when we had you guys on the last time, the show, if we talked about kind of where your car passion, the history of your love of cars comes from. Maybe you can talk a little bit about that and kind of share with our guests over here that side of things and why it is you do what you do or why you love what you do.
Well, bottom line, I do what I do. I've been in auto restoration and custom body work and auto restoration since, let's call it 1989 officially. I bought a car. I bought a 65 VW Bug when I was 14, I think, 13, 14, something like that. And I promised myself that I would build it and drive it to high school. And I mowed every lawn in town, got all the money I could. I worked every shift at a restaurant, made sure I can get all sorts of money. And I had this car painted by someone else, and they did a okay job. And I rebuilt the engine, put everything together. And my senior year of high school, I drove my bright pink Cowlook Volkswagen to senior year of high school. And I had worked my tail off to get that thing done. I drove it around for a few months, and some woman wasn't watching where she was driving. She crashed into me, and my 4 years of building was ruined in 3 seconds.
Well, and I think that's where I wanted to go with this. Is kind of a similar question. Was not everybody can do everything in the project car world, right? Like some people try to be jack of all trades, but sometimes just different skill sets, different talents to kind of lead people. Like some people are just good at building engines. Some people are just good at upholstery. But for you, it's paint and body is kind of one of the ones that you really latched on to.
Yes.
So what about that side of the rebuilding cars or project cars? And I'm not saying you can't do any of the other things. I'm just saying, like, obviously you're kind of like really honed in on the paint and body stuff. So what is it about that type of work that you were really drawn to?
I think it's the artist in me. Because again, everything stems from high school, because I went right from high school, 1 week out of high school, didn't go to college. Anyone listening? I didn't go to college, worked in a body shop 1 week out of high school, sweeping floors and learning with my mouth shut. And I think it helped. I think it worked. But my art teacher in high school told me that I wasn't going to get anywhere drawing cars. I would draw cars with flames on them and all sorts of craziness. And he said, you're not going to get anywhere in your life drawing cars. And I think that really pushed me into the artistic way of thinking with doing body work and being creative and customizing and putting, Packard taillights on a 50 Mercury and shaving door handles and making cars with suicide doors and putting parts on cars that never belonged. And painting flames and graphics and everything on there. And it was really good because I think I'm kind of a cynical person. Imagine that. A lot of the things that I did showed up in the car magazines, and I'm in my brain hoping that my art teacher saw them. And I kind of Hopefully he saw them. But I think that's what pushed me into it is the art part of it, the artistic part of it. Go ahead.
And just as a side note too, speaking of magazines, do you have your copy right there in front of you?
Yes, I've got it right here.
Little tidbit of information there. John will share with us here about.
It is right now September 2022 of the new Hemmings. This is for you kids that are watching. This is a book. This is a paper book. This is really in my hands. Anyway, gather around. Grandpa will show you what a book is. And for National Get Out and Drive Day, we are working with the RPM Foundation. And RPM Foundation is celebrating National Get Out and Drive Day to encourage youth nationwide to explore careers in the collector car vehicle industry. We have, for National Get Out and Drive Day, we have a whole entire page in the new Hemmings, hopefully to make people aware of National Get Out and Drive Day and get people on board, because we have because we're working with RPM Foundation, we actually have a scholarship fund through RPM Foundation. Maybe Joanne can put that up in our comments here in the chat. But please, if you get a chance, click on that link. You can donate, you can give money, and help the kids actually learn hands-on about vehicles.
And Ryan, our resident tech guru, is asking, what operating system does that Hemmings book run? I think he's just making a wisecrack, but nevertheless,
I don't know. It says it. There's a barcode down here, so maybe he can scan that and it works on a QR code. I have no idea. Oh yeah, Paul says Gutenberg. Guten-tight.
So back to some questions for John. Now I know that one of the things you've recently kind of semi-retired or retired from your career.
33 years.
But you've also got some other things on the go. Tell us a little bit about some of the other side hustles you've got going on with your wife. Or I should say that she's got you going on.
Oh, she does. We own St. Louis Snow Cone. We are a Carnival Foods and Dessert Bar catering company. And we serve Carnival foods and all kinds of ice cream. And hell, I think I made 1,500 cotton candy the other night. You know, some idiot body man sitting there making cotton candy all night. You know, so it works, and all my customers have happy, smiley faces, and I'm happy about that.
So then, what begs the question for me is does your truck have a killer ice cream paint job on it or of some sort?
It used to. It used to. Someone bought it from me. We had a vehicle called the Snow Sled, and when my wife wanted a snow cone shack, like a little stand, and I'm not so good with hammer and nails, and I built a whole entire food truck instead of just a stand. We took a 57 Chevrolet step van and gutted it, built a full chassis for it, digital dash, leather interior, and 20-inch wheels, air ride, billet specialties laying on the ground. It was pretty badass. And we built that to run around car shows and stuff and have fun. And it got to be like, I don't know, she flicked a snowball down the hill, and it gathered me and my family and my time and everything. And now it's crazy. And we do this full time every day, all the time. We're in our 18th year at St. Louis Snow Cone. And someone needed my truck more than I did. And now it's a coffee truck in Montana. But yeah, it was pretty cool. And we sell vintage toys under Get Out and Drive podcast. We sell vintage toys and housewares on eBay.
Yeah, and royalty checks come out on the 15th of every month. Looking forward to that.
Yes.
Next question. No, I'm kidding. But if you guys are interested in seeing some of the die casts and different stuff that John has available on the Get Out and Drive podcast over on eBay, make sure you check some of that stuff out because it's pretty interesting. There's lots of neat stuff over there. You can spend hours just browsing through his eBay shop alone. So, John, right now, if there was one thing that you could be doing besides, working on cars or snow cones or catering,
playing with Hot Wheels.
Sure. what's one thing you'd love to be doing right now as a passion?
Wow. Something other than what I'm doing right now?
Yes.
Well, I told my wife, and sadly, it's still all wrapped up in the whole thing. I told my wife, I said, if ever I feel like not doing body work and not doing anything, I'd love to go to a fire truck restoration facility and just donate my time and restore vintage fire trucks.
Wow. So why fire trucks?
I don't know. I have an odd fascination with fire trucks. I guess it's the lights and sirens kind of get me mesmerized. I don't know. But I always saw that. There's a fire truck restoration company that's in St. Louis. And everybody that's there is like they used to work at the brewery, Anheuser-Busch Brewery, or donated time. There's electricians that go there. There's all sorts of people go there, but everybody that goes to this place, everything is donated. All their paint materials, their body work, their mechanical skills, electricals, everything's donated, and they restore vehicles for museums.
I always like trying to cross-pollinate skills and desires and hobbies and all those things. And when you talk collecting Hot Wheels and then your former, you just retired from paint and body. Have you ever thought about doing those custom build Hot Wheels to like commemorate like another YouTuber's car? I'll see that every now and then. Someone's like, "Hey, I built your project car at the diecast level." Ever have any desire to do anything like that?
I haven't built anyone else's car that I've seen, but I do restore vintage red lines and I do customize Hot Wheels. So other people say waste of time. I restore Hot Wheels because I still get the same amount of love, restoring a tiny Hot Wheel as I do, the vintage car, building a whole entire car. And I can collect a whole entire shelf of them and, have 10,000 cars, and it's just as much fun.
Now, I'm sure that I'm not the only one who, as a young boy, would sit there and tear apart different Hot Wheels because of their wheels might look better on the van than they did on the car or the race car, and do all that sort of thing, like drilling out the rivets on the bottom and this and that. Like, I think that there's a couple of different channels that I do watch or have watched in the past. That's exactly what they do is they go and they take everything and pieces of one car to another and snap them in there and kind of make a Hot Wheels that never existed look cool. I'm sure that you had to have done that, obviously, if you're restoring these Hot Wheels and collecting. Is there a specific series or line of Hot Wheels cars over the years that kind of just you got to have every single one of them, or you just want them all?
Well, first of all, I want them all. Second of all, I have no idea. I have that completionist attitude. I have to have everything, and I'm constantly secretly scrolling on eBay and ordering everything, and 10,000 boxes come to the door, and my wife says, "What is that?" I'm like, I don't know. Somebody just sent me things. I don't know what that is. And yes, but I think my love, because I started collecting Hot Wheels around probably 1978 to probably 1990. So I'm a non-Redline Black Walls kid. So Redline stopped in like about 1978, but they started in 1968. And first edition Sweet 16 original red lines are bringing super high dollar. And I'm always buying car collections. We drove to Chicago a couple weeks ago. We bought like 800 cars or 1,000 cars from someone's collection. But we're always buying and selling car collections and die-cast and Hot Wheels collections. So if anybody out there has vintage Hot Wheels, certainly call me or text me or email me. I love that stuff. But I love restoring Hot Wheels because, like I said, it's the same feeling to get a little car and take it from looking crappy to making it pretty. I love doing that. And I get the same feeling as doing a full-size car.
Well, I'm going to try to stitch together this conversation, John, with the one we had when I was a guest on your show. And my older brother, you were asking me about like how I got into cars and things like that. My older brother got the first subscription to Hot Rod magazine in 1997. that would have made me like a 6th or 7th grader. So he would have been like a 8th grader or freshman in high school when we get that. And, we fell in love with Hot Rod Magazine. I eventually get a CarCraft subscription as time goes on. But at some point, we fall for the marketing of Racing Champions, the Hot Rod Magazine brand of diecast cars. And I remember those, how cool those were, because they had articulating like hoods and things like that, and just that next level. Did you ever get into Racing Champions? Do you have a collection of those by chance?
I only have my personal loose collection of Blackwall Hot Wheels that are some carried over from my childhood. And I'm kind of filling in little spots of ones that I may have broken or smashed, and I get them pretty. But I have a few Racing Champions, but not very many. Yeah, just not very many. Mostly stick to Hot Wheels.
So as far as I see somebody in the chat, Fox Can Fix It said, if he likes die-cast, I mean, he spelled die wrong, I'm sorry, but if he likes die-cast, why not get out and die podcast? I'm sure that there's probably a whole topic of conversation for days, months, and if I know John, years on talking about die-cast, Hot Wheels, stuff like that. Is there a specific type of die-cast that tends to be more collectible than the others, like NASCAR or just certain types of vehicles? Or
for me, or people in general?
Well, people in general. I mean, I know you'd like you said, you probably collect just about anything, but
I think probably 1/24 scale NASCAR diecast is from action, especially extremely highly collectible. And that was another thing that we purchased recently, and I have a lot of NASCAR 1/24th NASCAR diecast for sale, and we're going to be putting up more and more on our eBay sale, on our store. We're going to put up a lot more stuff on our store. But I think for everybody, Hot Wheels has been absolutely incredible. After like 1/24th NASCAR, I think Hot Wheels is still right there on top, especially any treasure hunt cars or any super treasure hunt cars. It's getting to be kind of crazy. People are the prices are getting astronomical. Hundreds of dollars for a car that costs 98 cents.
Well, and there certainly is a market for that. As a Kansan, that's when growing up. Of course, I grew up on toy tractors and things like that. But there's this website, daltonsfarmtoys.com.
Okay.
I'll find myself lost on that website every now and then, just looking at, and I haven't bought anything from there because it's like a 1/64th scale 4-wheel drive tractor that goes for like $120, and I'm just like, who would? But there's a mark. Obviously, this company's making it work, so there's that obvious market there for you. But John, I guess we'll transition a hair out of the 1/64th scale conversation, but keep it in the Hot Wheels family. I know they've in the recent years had this car show where they're trying to figure out what to turn into a Hot Wheel. So there's been this kind of bring your freak show build to this Hot Wheels. What would it take, or is that the type of thing? Would you ever want to be like a judge in that show or be part of that someday? And what do you think of that whole operation?
I like it, and it's cool. I don't always agree with what cars that they pick. It's crazy. I don't know if it's peer judging or what, but I'm always saying, I'm seeing the Hot Wheels, the National Hot Wheels show where they take the full size cars, and I'm seeing that, and I say, oh man, this car's going to win hands down. And then I see that they make a car that is just bonkers, and I don't know why the hell they made a Hot Wheel out of it. I think last year's car was like some sort of narrowed Metropolitan, and it had the wheels sticking outside of it, and it was all just crazy looking, and that's just not for me. I did build a full scale Hot Wheels super van, black, with flames on it. Everybody had that as a child. And I really like that. I built that for a Hot Wheels collector in St. Louis. It has Hot Wheels logoed 20-inch, I think 20s and 18s, billet specialties wheels. We had Hot Wheels logos on the center caps, black with flames, everything. It's got red lines. super badass.
So one thing I guess that I think that is absolutely amazing is the fact that, as grown adults, grown men, we still have the passion for the toys we grew up with. And I shared with you, John, a couple of months ago, this old toy service station, this tin that I found at this antique store, and the guy wanted a lot of money for it. I mean, a lot that I thought was a lot of money for. And so I went around and I found, 3 or 4 other items that I liked, and I kind of put a package price together. So listen, I'll give you X number of dollars for all of this, and he come to that agreement. And I think that, deep down, if you're a car guy or gal and you played with these toys as a kid, that passion never goes away. The sitting in the dirt, digging trenches and race tracks and whatever with these cars is always there. And when my son was a kid, it was the same thing. I would sit with him and I'd play, and probably in the not too distant future, I'm thinking that grandchildren will be in the future, and I hope that as Grampy, I get to do that again. Now, do any of your kids follow in the same path as you, as far as your passion for cars and the collecting and the rebuilding and all this stuff?
No, they don't. My son is a machinist, and he has nothing to do with cars. Really? He can tell them apart. 5, 6, 7 Chevy, knows that's a Nova, and he can tell cars apart, but he has no need or want to have a car. I think we have one that's on our channel. He bought a dune buggy, and then we hustled and traded a dune buggy for a 521 cubic inch big block Fox body Mustang. I don't know how he did this, but he traded. I'm not kidding. You got to check it out. It's on our channel on Get Out and Drive on YouTube. We traded straight up, no money. He bought this dune buggy for next to nothing and traded to get this 521 manual transmission Mustang. And to put a big block in a Fox, that ain't easy. And you talk about driving, that thing was front heavy, and it would move. It scared him, and he kind of got rid of it quick. But it was pretty cool. But no, my daughter doesn't do anything like that. And my son, I don't know if they're tired of hearing me talk. And I think that might be it. They don't want to have anything to do with cars. They want to be as far away from cars as possible.
Well, as we're kind of at the halfway point, just want to remind everybody that every dollar spent in a super chat is not ever gone unnoticed here on the Car Guy and Six Fan Show. And at the end of each season, we try to reflect on that and kind of give back to those who gave to us. And so just kind of that reminder, if you wanted to slip in $1 or $2 Jason's way, there might be something showing up in your mailbox at some point in time, post November. But John, we talked about there, just, is it a family affair, and you kind of work through that, and not so much, but I know what's very important to you is this idea of not just what drives you, but what drives youth, and passing on the love for cars and the love for the hobby and all that to the next generation. So without, taking the family out of that picture for a second, who locally to you, like, who are the characters involved, the parties? Who is that next generation of youth who you're really trying to influence?
There's several different people that I've had at my old body shop that I had, a restoration shop in St. Louis, Missouri, that I kind of mentored, and they came in, either right out of tech college or right out of high school and things. And I taught them how to paint. I taught them how to do body work, and several of them went on to have their own shops. And right now I don't have anyone that I'm currently mentoring. But I really did a lot. I taught a lot of our employees, how to do the work. And it was great. We even had a female employee that was with us, and And it was great to teach her how to do work and how to reskin a roof on a muscle car. And she was right in there, knew how to weld and do all sorts of work and things. And that was pretty fun.
John, one of the things that we started doing over the Get Out Drive podcast is what we've kind of coined detour episodes. These are episodes where we may or may not be interviewing a guest, but we want to talk about things that are on our mind.
Mm-hmm.
And something that's come across my Instagram feed, my news feed over the last couple of days is talk of California banning all new gas-powered vehicles by 2035.
Mm-hmm.
That's just around the corner, guys. That's 13 years away. That's not too far. And then almost on the same day of them making that announcement, they're asking all electric car owners not to charge their cars due to the demand on the power grid. So, keeping this kind of news story in mind, I want to get your thoughts and your take on EVs for the future of the car, the car buffs, the car collectors, without pissing too many people off. Tell us exactly how you feel. No. What are your thoughts?
Now, new EV cars coming out or hot rod EV conversions?
No, I'm just talking like EV in general, like the whole EV. There's so many people who are maybe purists of hot rodding and gas running through their veins, so to speak, that when they hear the words EVs, they just automatically shut down and say, no, never going to do it, not going to do it. But unfortunately, it seems to be a thing that's likely going to be forced upon us at some point in time. Likely the younger generations more so than maybe us. But at the end of the day, EVs are a thing. They're becoming a more mainstream. They're becoming more and more accessible. And I guess my question simply is, what are your thoughts on EVs in the industry as we kind of move forward as hobbyists?
My thoughts are pretty quick. Everybody that's out there, stop calling an internal combustion engine ICE. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't say an ICE engine. It's not going to stick. Stop it. Anyway, so I think all this stuff with electric is going to happen. It is happening. It's going to happen. The fact that you just everybody wants to hear an internal combustion engine. They want to hear a cam. I don't want to go to a local burger stand and I don't want to hear George Jetson's car come by. I don't want to hear that. I want to hear a cam that makes me smile. I want to hear a top fuel dragster. I want to see it flutter my eyes. I want to see that stuff. I want to feel that. I want to feel the craziness, and it's not even a word, so don't even try me. The out of controlness of a sideways internal combustion engine just absolutely ripping it, because you get the horsepower sticky in your seat, the torque, the feeling, the sound, the smell, everything. And I don't watch sports. I don't watch baseball. I don't have anything to do with anything that doesn't have wheels in it. And people say they watch sports and they watch baseball for the smell and the sounds and everything. Well, that's the same reason I love cars. I want to, real world garage right there. I want to feel the pounding in my chest. I want to feel that car and I want to become part of that car. And it's absolutely incredible to me to feel the torque and horsepower. Yes, EVs will come. No, I'm not a fan of them, but I did ride in it and it got my attention. I rode in a ludicrous prepped Tesla, and that thing moves. I've seen them, take a Hellcat to church. I've seen all that. I understand that. I get it. High performance, electric cars, I get it. I see that. But I don't see the fact that we're going to have an electric truck that's not going to be able to haul anything, that you have to stop every 200 miles, and it's going to take you 14 weeks to get across the United States. And I'm sure Jason and I'm sure Grant, you guys saw that post, and I remember putting it up, that the people took the truck and it showed them they stopped at every EV station, and they drove one of the new Ford trucks. I think it was a Lightning or something. They drove it across the country, and they stopped every 20 minutes to fill the thing with energy. And I don't know if that's cool. I don't know if that's the right thing to do, because everybody has to understand an EV vehicle is a clean energy vehicle at the point that you're spinning the tire. That electricity has to come from somewhere, and someplace is nuclear energy, burning coal. Something is producing that electric for you to use to cleanly spin the wheel and spin the wheels and move the car. Some people don't understand that. They think they see that my car's not putting out CO, so it's a clean vehicle. No, the electric got to come from somewhere.
Yeah, and I don't want to stick on the topic too long, because I know Jason and I, we've covered this on multiple shows in multiple. So I feel like I'd be repeating myself. But what I do want to say is, because I sometimes come at this from a little bit of a countercultural perspective for Car Guy World, is that if you haven't been paying attention to how low Lake Mead's getting, and if you haven't been paying attention to how much ice is melting in Greenland and things like that, like, we legitimately do have a problem that we need to figure out how to solve. And my shtick's always been like, what frustrates me the most about electric cars versus ice is sorry, John, is that it's one versus two. There's no discussion about a third option or a fourth option. Like I'm a problem solver in creative mind as an architect, and I want to see other people's propositions. Like, why does it got to be gas versus electric? And so I guess the challenge I'd want to issue to anyone watching this show or the replay is just that, as a hot rodder, think long and hard for yourself. Like, what potential solutions could you even have to offer within our hobby and still keep things the way you want it, right? Like, yeah, and that's all I'm saying, I guess. You know, I'm a big biofuels guy. I love biodiesel and things like that. Like, just think long and hard. Like, if you really want to protect this hobby long term and you want to have it around in 30 years, how can you have your cake and eat it too, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So with that, sorry, I don't want to divert that conversation too much. Jason, I'm just going to hit the mute button and let you take it.
Yeah, no, and let's just put a period on this with this one last thing. You know, it doesn't matter where we're going with vehicles, whether it's electric, whether it's some form of a hybrid, or whether the internal combustion engine wins overall. Whatever it happens to be, shameless plug, I think we're still going to be able to get out and drive no matter what we're driving at the end of the day. Part of the hobby of being car guys and car people, car gals, is that we have a passion for them no matter what they are, no matter what they look like, no matter what they sound like, no matter what they smell like. The fact that we love to drive, and some of us love to drive fast, we'll be able to do that no matter what is propelling those particular vehicles. So let's just put a period on that for now. I think it's a great topic of conversation, you know, down the road, as you know, as more and more things become available and more options become available, or the whole EV concept kind of broadens out more for the average consumer. So let's just put that to bed. I know we could spend a whole episode just talking on that, or a whole Detour episode talking about that sort of thing. But I do want to kind of spend a little bit of time with some of our folks in the chat, because I know that they may have questions for John. So we do always want to open up the chat for questions for our guests. So if you guys have something that you don't know, that you want to know about John, word it carefully, because he'll talk forever. But make sure you have an opportunity to ask a question in there, and we'll try and get some answers from John at some point in time. I do want to move into a little bit of some of the things that we see up and coming for everybody's channel or everybody's podcast, so to speak. So because you and I, John, share that, and Grant and I share over here, we'll give you an opportunity just to talk about some of the things that we that some of our guests here might be able to expect on the Get Out and Drive podcast in the very near future. Now, we've done a few interviews, so maybe I'll let you kind of take over from here.
People that I'm chasing or people that we're going to talk to?
Well, a little bit of both. I know that we've got a lot of names in that hat of chasing. So,
I don't know if I'm going to tell anybody. I've got quite a few people that we're talking to.
My next interview is Robbie Collier.
Okay, yeah, Robbie Collier.
Next one we're going to interview.
That's right. I just spoke with Robbie Collier on the phone the other day. The defunct, if that's a proper word, dealership, and they have a lot of vintage cars there. He talked to me for almost an hour on the phone. Oh, there it is, Collier Motors. Yep, AMC Collier Motors.
You can talk about Dalton, since they will release soon.
Oh man, we just did one. Everybody. And what is Dalton's last name?
Summit.
Dalton Summit. And he is Pole Barn Garage here on YouTube. He is the owner of the most ridiculous, worthless piece of crap I've ever seen on the road, the Holy Goat. And he said somebody took that car in the 70s or 80s and flipped it up on its side and pushed it all around, and it was somebody's girlfriend's car, and they just shot the hell out of it. What a mess. He's sitting in the car while he's doing the interview with us, and he's talking to us about how the thing whistles when it goes down the road. Oh my God. And then he put like 4 pounds of urethane to keep the front windshield in it. I don't think it has any glass in it either, does it?
No, it doesn't. It's just the windshield to make it legal. And he didn't even know if you had to have a windshield in Missouri to make it legal. So
right, we'll just wear goggles like we're in a dune buggy. But yeah, for whatever reason, this fool bought it, and I think he said he bid on it in an auction in Texas for $99. And he's like, I ain't winning that. Well, nobody else was that stupid, and somebody called him and emailed him and told him, you won this piece of crap, get it off my property. And oh yeah, seen the Holy Goat a few times, Kansas City. He was at World of Wheels in Kansas City. He had a feather duster. He had one of them California car dusters. He's trying to dust it off and all the pieces are getting stuck in the holes. What a mess. What a mess.
Well, I know earlier Jason Rock was asking about if Nick from Nick's Garage is on the list, and he already was on the list because that's one of the latest episodes that's dropped. So, and it's funny, Jason, you were talking about how we never grow out of like the digging in the dirt, and I remember Nick's story about dumping out his mom's flour on the table and making racetracks, banked curve racetracks for his Hot Wheels. So, kind of nice going full circle there, but.
Yep, we have up and coming. We've not recorded yet, but we'll be talking with noted Barris car collector Kurt McCormick, and he has, I think, he sold some vehicles, but at his peak, I think he had 13 or 14 restored 40s, 50s era Barris vehicles, and that guy is an absolute wealth of knowledge, and he's one of my mentors. That I found randomly at a car show, and I saw what car that he had, and I said, holy crap, there's this car on the side of the road, and that's a car that I've only seen in a magazine, in the Little Pages, Little Hot Rods magazine. And for whatever reason, I saw it on the side of the road, and I met Kurt in the 80s, and he's been an incredible friend ever since, and we'll get him on the podcast and pick his brain about where he started and why he loves cars. And that dude does not own a trailer. He drives his cars all over the country. He'll drive them from St. Louis. He drove it to Indianapolis. We used to go almost every year, go to Indianapolis Custom Car Revival, and driving a several $100,000 a chopped 50 Buick in the rain, pouring ass rain. And we're driving this thing to Indianapolis for Custom Car Revival. What the hell else do we drive? We drove the Johnny Zarro Mercury. I had a towel on me. It was pouring rain, water's flying through the windshield. And this is a several $100,000 restored car. And he don't give two craps. He's just blowing the thing down the road. And he is an incredible person. Does not own a trailer. He's getting up there in his age, but man, he's still with it. And he's an awesome dude. I can't wait to interview him.
And that's exactly why we talk about get out and drive, right? Like I said, we don't want these, no matter what they are. Yes, there's $1 million cars out there, but they're cars. You know, to some degree, you've got to decide whether you're just going to, you know, spend all that money to sit in a garage somewhere to show off, or you're going to get out and drive the friggin' thing, right? So that's kind of what it really is all about.
Yeah.
Well, and to take that topic a step further, maybe get into a Detour episode again. the one of the topics Jason and I will bring up from time and time again is like, how do you define the term rat rod? Because it's the most overused term on Craigslist, on Facebook Marketplace, on like, as long as it's sitting in a pasture and rusting, it's a rat rod to some people, you know. But to me, what I really feel like a rat rod is more or less just like basically the original hot rodding. It was these guys who are done fixing up the car. They're at the point where the last thing they're going to do is paint and body, but they just want to get out and drive. They just want to go enjoy the car. So they're like, you know what, to the hell with, like, primer's good enough. I'm just going to get out there and drive. I just want to see how fast this thing's going to go. So I'm kind of curious to get your take, John. What do you feel like the term rat rod means to you as a paint and body man? I'm just kind of curious how you take that one.
Well, first of all, shiny cars cause stress. I've built very, very, very many China plate cars, and every one of them, they always start out with a customer saying, "Hey, I'm going to build this car, and I've had it since I was 16. I'm going to keep it forever." And then I build it, and I make it perfect, and it's in the garage, and it's never going out, and it just sits there, and it's garage furniture. And I liked the original stuff with the rat rod movement, and I'm a big fan of that, but you teeter on the edge of a nice early traditional hot rod without paint, or a field car body that's turned into a traditional hot rod. The term rat rod is going to be stuck at that car. And to me, any pre-war car is more hot rod than rat rod to me, whether it's painted, finished, whatever. But you just got to be careful in the street rodding community of calling a traditional car a rat rod. I mean, that gets to be a very negative term. And I think what you're looking at as being a rat rod is like a shock rod in my ideas, where it has square exhaust tubing and it has a saw blade on the roof and chicken wire or a screen door for a roof and things like that. To me, I think that gets kind of corny. And I don't know, is that kind of what you're talking about? Or are you looking more towards traditional cars, Grant?
Oh, I would say mine's probably somewhere in between. Like, I like the idea of, you know, if you don't have, if it's going to be, if I'm going to have to pay $300 to get the right headlight bezel or whatever, like, we'll just go find one that fits the era, fits the look, you know, or I like the theme stuff a little bit, but it is easy to go way overboard on. Like, you know, like I have this kind of dream. We've talked about it on my appearance on your show of taking old grain trucks because the bodies are in great shape. They're just a good source at this point in time as we get less and less old vehicles. And I mean, I think it'd be cool to do some sort of like farm theme thing for a big rancher or something. But yeah, I don't like, you know, some of the stuff people go way overboard on, and you know, like, okay, you're trying too hard, buddy. Like, just you know, like, just build a car, not a crap show.
Right. I'm talking about like the cars that are at Viva and the cars that are at like Greaserama and the cars that were at Steel Fest in St. Louis, and Paul knows cars that were at Steel Fest. If you have flamethrowers coming out of square exhaust pipes that run straight up in the air, and your car looks like it won't run around the block without, parts falling off of it, more shock rod to me. And I understand some people just do that for the fun of it, and it's just kind of odd for me, because I think people aren't making cars and changing them for sake of change and style to make them look cool. I just think, again, shock. I think people are just throwing the biggest trash that they can at a car, and saying I have the biggest piece of crap and I can cut a body in half and smash it on the ground and still drive it around the fairgrounds.
I think one of the terms that comes to mind, maybe not a term, a name or something that comes to mind when I see certain cars is tetanus. If you see a rusty bucket of crap rolling down, straight piped, and hardly a seat or a floor in it, and you're scared to even look at it that you might get tetanus. Like, there's different values or different levels of what I call rat rod, and I think that, like you said it, and a couple of guys in the chat agree that the shock rod aspect has kind of taken over what the rat rod should be, right? So rat rod meaning we're going to build a car out of not cheap parts necessarily, but out of spare parts or whatever, and go have some fun with it. There's that, and then there's the whole shock of I can still spend 150 grand and make it look like a piece of trash.
Yes.
But anyways, we need to kind of start winding things down a little bit for the show. We are kind of getting close to the edge. Grant, did you see any questions in there for John? I'll get you to kind of scroll through that. I was trying to keep an eye on things, but I think everyone got caught up on the whole shock rod thing there for a little bit.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I was just laughing at every third comment Fox Can Fix It made along the way too.
He's quite a character.
For instance, he was asking, is his car shock rod if he feels shocked every time it starts and runs okay?
That's because you have the negative cable on the steering wheel.
Wait, we may have just got one from Will's Wheels. Yeah, here we go. So, John, have you heard of the new clear coats that self-heal minor scratches? Does it really work?
No. And I was, to talk about self-healing paint, I worked at the Dodge dealer. I was during the launch in 1994 of the Dodge Intrepid, and I had to teach customers about self-healing paint. When their car was going to get scratched, Chrysler pushed that. And that is a whole bunch of crap. Yeah.
So this one's not necessarily for you, John, but Gary Mathis had asked the chat if anyone had checked out the channel Rat Rod Bob Builds. He is actually a channel that we have reached out to try to have on the show, but he's one who has declined on more than one occasion, so which is very rare, but that's all right. I mean, it's just sometimes this isn't the right format for people, but yeah, I love watching his stuff. He's a pretty talented builder. I think he's working on a square body actually right now, of all things.
So this question kind of, we touched on this earlier about how you got into the podcast from Real World Garage. If you go back and listen to this earlier, you'll know exactly why. I'm not trying to curb the question by no means. We just don't need to repeat it. We did talk a little bit about jumping around the block and what's up and coming on each other's format here. So Grant, why don't you tell us a little bit about what we can expect coming out of Straight Six Fans Garage here in the next video?
Well, I did film some stuff on Sunday, but honestly, like I've been recently just debating a lot with, like, do people care more about regular content and the videos being kind of lame because I didn't really get much done, or do they care more about just seeing stuff get done on my car, and however long that takes, it takes, kind of a thing. But as you know, we're still plugging away at the interior on the Grand Prix. I am in the middle of getting some. So the back package tray was butchered from the previous owner. In the middle of repairing that and creating some laser cut speaker grills, custom laser cut speaker grills before I reupholster that back thing. Yes,
Lasers.
laser. But Jason, what about on Old Car Guy? What's coming down the pike?
Well, this is going to be a great opportunity to tell you guys that in about 6 minutes, my newest video is going to go up. So as soon as the Car Guy and Six Fan Show is done, you can stay right here, actually. Stay right here and check out the latest video on Dale the Truck. The last 2 days, we've been working away at trying to get the fuel starvation problem fixed and the frequentness of me running out of gas in that thing. So I'm not going to give it away. We did run into a few problems, but nevertheless, that vehicle will be there. That video will be there. Make sure you stay around and watch that after the fact. Next week, we are back on Grant's channel for the Car Guy and Six Fan Show. And Dudes with Wrenches, as he always starts off his TikToks with, is in the chat, and he will be our guest over there along with Wasted Talent Fabrication. So we're going to have a couple of guys over there filling us full of some more information and different places that we can go watch some great videos over on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all those great places. So make sure that you guys are going to be in there to follow them as well. 55 minutes and 58 seconds into this conversation here, John. It's been great talking with you again and getting people to know a little bit more about you. And we appreciate you taking time to be a part of this side of things. And even though you got off to a little bit of a rocky start there with you're not knowing what to do with your hands. No, I'm kidding. It was a great conversation, and we always appreciate taking that time. And of course, I enjoy hanging out with you anyway. So
I may decline the next time you ask me.
Just to see what we do, how we react.
Yeah. If you send me an email, I'll just type back no.
Nice try, buddies.
Right.
Well, I did just so as co-host, I can't necessarily. I don't have the bandwidth to do the chat. I'd have to have a separate window up and everything. So I did just want to say thank you to Paul Meyer for complimenting the gray beige combo on my interior that we're doing. So I just want to say thanks. I think it's turning out good myself. But then also wanted to remind everybody with Dudes with Wrenches and Wasted Talent Fabrications coming on next week. We do think we're going to try a little something different on the Car Guy and Six Fan Show. Do a little different format than what you're accustomed to. So don't be shocked when you're tuned in next week and things are going just a little bit different than they normally do. Jason and I are kind of exploring a new format that we want to adopt probably moving forward. So just wanted to kind of whet the palate there. Very cool.
Yep, and it was great. We've had a lot of fun here tonight, and thank you guys earlier in the chat for the birthday wishes, and we had a good time. We're going to be celebrating actually on the weekend because we've got some family and friends coming down for a visit. Yeah, so that's it. That's our show for this week, guys. The Car Guy and Six Fan Show, powered by the Get Out and Drive podcast. It's great to have the other half of the Get Out and Drive podcast, not just John, but to have Joanne there as well, and Paul, who is our sound guy, kind of pulling everything together and making John and I sound awesome on those podcasts. So thank you so much to everybody for joining us. Grant, why don't you go ahead and close out the show?
Well, we'll keep it pretty brief, and I'll just say to all my Six fans out there, thanks for watching.